سفارت ایران هستیم. ساعت 20 دقیقه به 12 لندن هست. امروز 22 خرداده و بچه‌ها این صحنه تظاهرات ایران رو روی دیوار سفارت جمهوری اسلامی با یه پروژکتور خیلی بزرگ منعکس کردن. اینم تقدیم به همه بچه‌های ایران. ویدیو هم راجع به نوکیا و زیمنس بود که اون اوایل انتخابات اون تکنولوژی رو به جمهوری اسلامی دادن که بتونه ردیابی کنه تماس‌ها رو و مردم رو دستگیر کنه. پاینده ایران. این داستان ادامه دارد. ما بیشماریم.
وقتی که شب میاد با همه غم‌هاش، ای یاور ای هم فریاد با من باش، دست به دست هم زدن تو و من، هم وطن، درد تو درد من با من بود.
The Nokia project came about as a response to the MoFilm competition for the Cannes Lions Advertising Awards. A professor at a local university approached me to collaborate on a submission so we could develop a course module that taught students how to make films to a client's brief. We had a meeting, he printed out all the briefs and I went home and read them. There were about 7 different companies that put forth briefs, and Nokia's just jumped out at me. It's hugely hypocritical. There was a large disparity between what their actions were and what their marketing message was saying. And what was even more offensive to me was that it seemed like not only were they trying to whitewash what they had been doing, but they were also using crowdsourcing to actually get other people to author the message. So in order not to destroy the university's relationship with MoFilm, I dissolved the collaboration and just set about working on it myself. I hadn't really followed the political situation in Iran much before this, but I did hear about it on the radio. All of my news at that time just came from my alarm clock going off, my radio alarm clock going off, which was set like 2 hours before I had to go to work.
Just got this breaking news as state media declaring Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad the winner in the election.
Protesters are storming the streets of Tehran tonight after the most serious protests since the 1979 revolution.
We've received reports of clashes between government opposition supporters and Iranian security forces.
The number of casualties isn't clear, nor is it known how many arrests were made.
Another protester capturing her last moments on a cell phone camera.
I was, however, way too busy at the time to read a newspaper or you know, look at television to learn more about it. But I just filed away the stories in my mind, and you know, almost a year later, I had the chance to revisit it. The development process was very spy-like in the beginning. I'd contacted 2 Iranian curators and asked them if they could help me obtain stock footage of the protest, or how I could obtain footage of the election protest. And one of them responded back to me that she had passed my email on to someone who had such footage, but that being in possession of it was very dangerous. And that this person would decide for themselves whether or not they wanted to be involved, and they'd contact me directly. Once they finally did, I only had 1 email from that person, and they instructed me not to send any written communication to them unless I absolutely had to. And if I did, that I had a huge process of encryption to do before I sent it to him. And so most of our communication was on Skype. He instructed me to set up an account, and I added about 6 different username identities to my account, and each time he contacted me, it was through a different one. It got even more spy-like when they wanted me to identify myself and verify my facts with certain contacts of his in London. I had to call these people and basically not mention their name at all in any of the conversation, but also just, you know, tell them who I was and what I was trying to do, and get them to send him the proper verification of it all. My partner was a little freaked out about this, but I didn't think there was any other way to do this if I really wanted to get the project done. Another incident was getting the Creative Commons license for the photography of Hamid Saber. He had some really lovely images on Flickr that I wanted to use in the piece, or had the possibility of using in my piece. And I wrote to him several times, you know, just to let him know that I was going to use it under the Creative Commons, but also to see if I could maybe get some higher resolution images. And he finally wrote me back telling me that I was welcome to use them, but he had very little time to resize them or repost anything. So just to, you know, go on with it and use what was there. So I did that, but then a couple weeks later I found out Hamid Saber had been arrested, and I sort of freaked out a bit, thinking that it was my project that might have caused it, but ultimately I think in late August he was actually finally released, and a news article said that he was also involved with creating a widget for the Firefox browser, which allows people in firewalls, in countries with firewalls like China and Iran and North Korea, to access Flickr by bypassing those firewalls. So I wasn't glad that he was arrested, but I was sort of relieved that it wasn't to do with me. This is the first time that I've collaborated with any Iranian artists or done anything involving Iranian culture, and it's really opened up my eyes. I've lived in many countries and like to think of myself as fairly cosmopolitan, but most of those cultures were westernized cultures. So I was really quite surprised when, during the research that I did, the protest images just looked so familiar to me. It could have been a protest that I attended or any of my friends attended in college or something like that. And it just really struck home. Most people make the mistake of associating a citizen of a certain country with the dominant politics or cultural movements of that country. From an American point of view, the notion of Iranians wanting democracy seemed a little bit ironic, and I kind of smiled and hoped that these events would actually like wear chinks in the propaganda armor of both our countries. The production process was really frustrating at first. I had this huge vision, but I had no idea like how to access it or how to make it happen. I would have never been able to do this project if I hadn't had help and input from some Iranian people. My project was literally going nowhere until my Iranian assistant director came on board. She was able to help me get actors in the seats and to actually explain to them what was going on, and also tell me if what I was thinking was actually the way that things would actually happen in that country. So her input to how the set should look, for example, was almost invaluable, and I couldn't have done it without her.
Pioneering mobile telecommunications, Nokia is connecting people in new and different ways. Technology can be wonderful. It can transform relationships, communities, societies, even the world. At Nokia, we've had the privilege to play a part in the evolution of human communication. Fusing advanced technology with personalized service, we enable people to stay close to what matters to them. But we've also seen that sometimes technology can be exclusive. While many of us are more connected than ever, some find themselves more alone even when they're together. Technology has the power to bring the world together, but is also in danger of leaving some people out. We don't believe anyone should be left behind. We believe that innovation should serve people first. Technology should be made for the people, not happen to them. After all, it's not the technology, it's what you do with it. Nokia, connecting people.
The original plan was to submit it to MoFilm, get rejected, and then mount a Guerrilla projection at the awards ceremony in Cannes. Unfortunately, it somehow got shortlisted, which we weren't expecting, and we think they were either being really, really smart or really, really stupid. We couldn't tell which, because I had to, in order to continue in the competition, I had to sign away all copyrights and intellectual property rights. So we withdrew the film from the competition, and in order to make sure that we really voided our entry, we gave it a public screening by video tagging, that's my word for projecting it, on the Iranian embassy on the 1-year anniversary of the election protest. That was really a rush. I had no idea if I was going to be like taken out or shot or something, but to see the work up there 2 stories tall, someone had tweeted to me that night that seeing Netta projected on the Iranian embassy in such large format was just truly amazing. Unfortunately, we got stopped by the police just as we were driving away from the embassy. I still had my face covered with the ruban scarf, and one of the police officers said, "Ma'am, do you know what this looks like, you driving away from an embassy with your face disguised?" And I just kind of politely said, "Yes, I do, officer, but do you know what embassy this is?" And he sort of just smiled and he said, "I understand." He said, "What are you doing here?" And we told him we were making a protest for the 1-year anniversary of the Iranian election protest, that we were projecting a film on the embassy. So because of some terrorism act or something like that, they wanted us, they explained that we were not under arrest, but because of this act, that they wanted us to pull all our gear out of our vehicle just so that they could search it and make sure that we didn't have any bombs and we were doing what we said we did. They were actually very, very polite and considerate and somewhat interested as to what we were, they seemed generally interested in what we were doing. So as my producer and my assistant got all of the gear out of the car, I was trying to explain the notion of culture jamming and what a subvertisement is, and we had this really wonderful police officer who was Scottish say, "I'm a simple guy, I just want to know what you're doing here." So while we were doing all of this, I had gotten the idea to just roll the camera and leave it in the back seat of the truck. I wasn't really looking for good images. I was just hoping to get good sound because the dialogue with the police was very interesting. So I just told my assistant to roll the camera and put it in the back of the truck. Unfortunately, my producer really freaked out when he heard that we had recorded the incident with the police and wanted us to erase the tapes. Ordinarily, I wouldn't ever erase anything I've ever shot, and I'd kind of fight tooth and nail to defend it, but because I didn't know the culture or the political climate or didn't really understand the repercussions that this might have on his family who lived back in Iran, I really didn't fight that hard. to keep the tape. I sort of just let my camera assistant and my producer argue about it, but ultimately I gave in and just said erase the tapes, which I really regret because it probably was some really great audio. But this is part of the reason why we're looking for funding, is because we'd like to do dramatic recreations of this scene with the police. My assistant director and I had wrote a short script about this recreation and got all the dialogue down as quick as we could, and we're hoping to recreate it in a style of like Thin Blue Line. It seems to be getting a good reception all around. We've done some video tagging in other cities and taking the artwork out of the gallery and into the streets to people who normally wouldn't see something like this or wouldn't seek out something like this has really been a positive thing.
I have thrown my Nokia phone on the floor. See, Nokia.
Okay, did it?
No more Nokia.
Thank you.
وقتی که شب میاد با همه غمهاش، ای یاور ای هم فریاد با من باش. دست به دست همزدن تو و من هموطن، درد تو درد من با من باش. So darling, darling, stand by me. Whoa, stand by me. Whoa, stand now. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, all the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Please, please, stand by me. Stand by me. Won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. We're standing now.